Well, here we are, beginning of March, and Tottenham Hotspur's season is now officially over. Dumped out of the FA Cup by lowly Middlesbrough, and we can have no complaints at all about that. Some will say that it's a good thing. There's no other distractions. We can concentrate on the battle for top four. The reality is, at the beginning of the season, from my personal point of view, I thought, fifth, sixth maybe, would be where we would likely end up this season. And to be honest with you, I've not really changed my mind. I don't really think we're going to be any further up than that. I don't think we'll make top four. Certainly not in the way that we are progressing at the moment. But for me, I think we're more likely battling to be somewhere in the 7th or 8th at this stage. We've got to be one of the most inconsistent teams out there, and that's a fact. Our performance last night was frankly embarrassing. After a really good performance against Leeds, and albeit Leeds are a poor side, but I can't believe that Leeds are any worse than Middlesbrough. I think the only difference between the two maybe is that Leeds are dropping like a stone and obviously low on confidence, whereas Middlesbrough are on a high and maybe bolstered with confidence after beating Man United as well. And so that may be a factor in there, but nevertheless, we had a good performance against Leeds. We exploited their weaknesses. Our passing was crisp. We were counter-attacking. We were fast. We were passing. We were crossing in from the wing backs, and we got great success. If you look at last night's performance. And you can't avoid calling out certain players, although I don't think any player really had any kind of decent game. But you can't avoid calling out the fact that Son was absolutely appalling last night. The ball did not stick to him at all. His decision making was poor. His shooting boots were obviously back at home. And he's brought Doherty's boots with him or something. He's wearing Doherty's boots or something like that, or a deep sea diver's boots, something like that. Anyway, so that was, he was really, really poor last night. After the masterclass that Harry Kane did against Leeds in terms of his passing and his range and everything, Harry was also well off the pace last night. Really poor. Couldn't really get into the game, couldn't string two passes together. Again, the ball wasn't sticking to him. He got absolutely niggled by the Middlesbrough players who were, all over him, in his face, and frustrating him massively. You could literally see it in his face, the way he was going to the referee and so on. Even not stopping in the media bit last night on the way out, you could tell that he was absolutely jacked right off. And I can't blame him because, the guy, generally speaking, is one of our top performers. But last night was not his night. It was an appalling performance from him. Winks, again, and I know we're calling it out time and time again, he is not at the level that we need to be if we want to be challenging, right to the top. It's just not there, and that really pains me to say it because I love homegrown talent, and I think he's obviously a great lad. He's a Tottenham fan, so he obviously doesn't want to play poorly, but he was poor, really poor last night. I mean, his pass to set Sessegnon free against Leeds was brilliant, but if you're not going to get that time on the ball, then you've got to make quicker and better decisions than he's making. And it's just playing safe constantly. We're back to left, right, backwards passing again, and him and Højbjerg together, and Højbjerg kept giving the ball away, Winks kept giving the ball away. It was like a massive hole in that midfield. There was just nothing there, no fight, no desire at all. Højbjerg again, alongside him, poor performance, and he is coming under an awful lot of stick. It's getting hard to really defend that. You can't kind of go, oh yeah, but look at his work rate, or look at his passion or whatever, because that's not winning the games. It's not getting us there. And so maybe with a Skip or a Bentancur, maybe that works, but him and Winks together is just not a match made in heaven for sure. Doherty, Sessegnon, back to getting pushed right back, not attacking at all. So therefore you've got no creativity going on in that team. And so the result was basically just ground out. And the longer the game went on, the more likely it seemed that Middlesbrough were going to score. They were on the front foot. They never gave up. They got the crowd behind them, and so you're kind of looking at it and thinking penalties is probably our best option at this moment in time. And how poor is that to say? It was just, ridiculous. There was a couple of bits in there, the goal by Harry that was given offside. At the time when I saw it, I thought it was very, very tight, and I thought that, it should have been given. I think the player behind him, I think it was Romero, was probably the player that was offside rather than Harry. And then when you look at the hustle and tussle in the box, how he even got there, is crazy really. Because if he's being held back in that situation, how the hell is that not a penalty? But anyway, it wasn't given, it wasn't to be. And then when I looked at the Middlesbrough goal, I was convinced that the Middlesbrough lad was offside. But looking back on the replays, it looked like the other player, not the one who scored, the other one, I'm not sure the names to be fair, he jumped over the ball, and for me he was the one that was offside. But if you're jumping across the ball to let it run for somebody else, for me you're interfering with play. You're in that and you're interfering with play, so how can you not be called as offside? But hey, listen, it is what it is, right? We we had another bad game, inconsistent, poor performance, can't play 2 games in a week, and it's just absolutely killing it. The relationship is just toxic, isn't it? Tottenham fans, and as I've said before, we're all addicts, we're all driven for our love of the club and all the rest of it. But Jesus Christ, how much more of this are we expected to take constantly? And it goes back to the fact that we just have very limited options, very limited options on the bench, and that's that's the club's fault. We've let players go, albeit I'm not complaining about letting those players go because I think they're poor and were not contributing at all. But the problem is, it just gives you nothing really to kind of work on. And then when you get your 2 bright sparks, Bentancur and Skip, out of the picture, that makes it even worse. So I'm not saying letting them guys go was a mistake, and I do understand how difficult the January transfer window is and all that kind of stuff. But even so, that's because we've bought poorly. It hasn't worked out for those players. And so now we're kind of trying to clear the decks, trying to make space, trying to create funds to be able to go out and do something maybe in the summer. But that doesn't help us this season. And again, we're all just stuck with the scenario of wait until next summer now. The season is officially over. May as well have a party. The big things that we're going to be able to celebrate that are left for us is a win against the Arsenal, if that happens. A win against the Spammers, if that happens. They're your big things now. And how poor is that to be able to say? You know, that's what we're playing for a hollow victory against West Ham and Arsenal, who on current form are probably more likely to finish above us. You know, so essentially we're turning into them over the last few seasons, where we've been, you know, the top performer out of those three clubs going forward. So it's really disappointing and gutting to feel like that after all the expectation that we've been getting. You know, we've now, you know, this is our, you know, another standout manager who cannot get a tune out of these guys. So, you know, where we go from here, I don't know. We absolutely need some major change, major investment, and a major change in mindset, because, you know, we cannot continue to play a good game, a crap game, a good game, a crap game, a crap game, a good game. You know, it can't carry on. That's just not the answer. So, desperate times. On a positive, I managed to go out last night and watch the football with the Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole element of South Dorset Spurs, which was really good. It's the first time all the guys have managed to get together. Lots of new members. So, you know, the Tottenham support is there, you know, even down in deep dark Dorset. But, you know, the club are clearly not matching the ambition of the supporters. What can you do? Keep the faith. Up the Spurs.